The following contest is scheduled for one fall, with a 60-minute time limit. Making their way down the aisle, Carlos, Mark, Nick, and Remy, the Entrance Ramp Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Nick Vega, and this is the Entrance Ramp Podcast. We sit here in mourning for what is, or what was, wrestling. It seems to have died in Saudi Arabia under blood money. Why? Oh, why would you ruin a new star for old stars? That is the question I'm going to propose at the beginning of this radio segment. Gentlemen, how do you feel about the new stars, Brock Lesnar, The Undertaker, and Goldberg?
They have a lot of potential.
I think so too.
They have good looks.
Yeah, they do not look bad for their age. They look very youthful, very youthful. Remy, how do you feel about these new stars?
I mean, look, I think this is a really exciting time to be alive. I mean, Firefly is airing on Fox.
Oh my God.
Don't hurt me.
You know, it's we're just coming out of 9/11, and so things are a little scary, but we're gonna get through this.
Well, I mean, honestly, that's how it feels. Like, you got the coronavirus going around. You got Goldberg winning titles. You got Brock Lesnar as the other champion. I mean, Jesus Christ.
2003 all over again.
I will blame Fox for this. I mean, it seems as though they had some sort of influence with making a marquee name the champion before the major, pay-per-view, which is WrestleMania.
Do you really think it's Fox?
I think it's everyone.
Yeah.
I think it's everyone, but I
think it's Saudi Arabia. Let's just call
everyone.
it what it is. It's Saudi Arabia is paying how much money for this show? They wanted the Ultimate Warrior. That's not a joke, people. The Ultimate Warrior who died, in 2014?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Saudi Arabia wanted the Ultimate Warrior to wrestle. So I blame this all on Saudi Arabia. They grabbed the names from yesteryear. They wanted them to be a relevant part of their show. And that's who I blame for this. Because Goldberg, coming back a couple times, being in the Hall of Fame, has made himself relevant in 2020. I don't have a problem with him coming back. I have a problem with him beating The Fiend. And Nick brought up a great point. I don't want to steal Nick's thunder, because yesterday, off air, obviously, Nick brought up a great potential way that they could have gotten around that, and they should have gone that route instead of Goldberg beating The Fiend.
What route was that?
How about Goldberg beating Bray Wyatt?
Oh, yeah.
That could have been a total way around that.
The Fiend, that's a great idea.
Right, he could squash Bray Wyatt in a minute 30 or 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Like, Jesus Christ, where's Rosie and fucking, what's his name? Yeah,
The Hurricane?
No.
No, it was
Jamal.
Jamal.
Rosie and Jamal, yeah.
Yeah, Rosie and Jamal. R.I.P. I don't understand. Like, you could have had him beat Bray Wyatt non-title match going towards WrestleMania and set up a triple threat or something different. It just doesn't make any sense to me. We're gonna go through this card real quick, just
let's do that.
And then we could just dissect.
Angry.
And yeah, we're just very, very angry, and we get it. We're marks, but as marks, we pay these people salary, just like the police.
We're allowed to criticize.
Yeah, so we criticize everything. So the first match of the night is the OC versus the Viking Raiders impromptu match. Gentlemen, the OC went surprisingly over the former tag team champions. Surprise, or it's just, they win whenever they're in Saudi Arabia?
No, this isn't a surprise. I'm sorry, Rem, I cut you off. Here's the thing. How many times have we seen Roman Reigns versus Baron Corbin? And it's a one-sided feud.
Yeah.
So they needed to have the OC get a win to continue the feud. And I have no problem, because the matches are always good. All four guys can go. I have no problem with them swapping wins back and forth to continue the feud.
I just want something of relevance for the OC. They are one of my favorite tag teams, and I just feel like on Raw they're just muddled in in the waters. Like they're just treading water at this point. I mean, they're gonna be there. They're they're always gonna be there. They have these long contracts that we heard of. They are like made men, but I want more from them. They're like the IWGP World Heavyweight Champions, in New Japan. They ran roughshod. They're like original members of the Bullet Club. Like, this is not what I expected from their run in WWE.
Remy, you want to add anything to this, or it's just a throwaway?
I mean, this is kind of a throwaway for me. I think that you're getting a lot of 50-50 booking out of this, and it's hard to this whole tag division on either SmackDown or on Raw. I mean, it's impossible to take it seriously.
Yeah, because there's no direction for anybody other than going for the belts. So it seems as though this is just another throwaway in my opinion.
And I want to just touch upon what Remy just said. So 50-50 booking, I am not a fan of. However, if you have two teams or two wrestlers who you deem as equal, then that's when it's okay. Like, if you have someone like Dominik Dijakovic and Keith Lee going at it, and they're going to exchange victories, I'm okay with that because you can see both of them as great talent. And I have no problem in this case because we all know what the OC is. Gallows and Anderson are a great tag team, like Carlos said, international superstars. So I have no problem with them getting a win, but they weren't the ones that were really feuding with these guys. So the Raiders. So I kind of see it like, why did they give the OC a push in Saudi Arabia when they could have been giving them a push the whole time on Raw? But no, they lose to Drew McIntyre in 3 minutes the night after Royal Rumble. So
yeah, that's just why I can't take them seriously. That they just won this match over the Viking Raiders, who were just having a major feud. Were just the former tag team champions, and now it seems as though they're, if we're doing a ranking system, they're third, fourth, fifth, something like that. But we probably spent more time talking about this than the actual match actually happened. So let's switch over to The Undertaker winning this Tawake trophy. I think that's how it's pronounced. That's how Michael Cole said it. So if we're wrong, we blame Michael Cole.
Dog food.
So The Undertaker won as a surprise entrant, replacing Rey Mysterio, who replaced Rusev. So we're replacing. He defeated AJ Styles in the final matchup. R-Truth, shout out to R-Truth, went through 3 gentlemen: Bobby Lashley, Eric Rowan, and Andrade, the current U.S. champion. He might as well be the former because it seems as though they don't care about the U.S. title as we had.
They don't care enough to strip him of the belt.
Yeah,
when he had the wellness violation.
But he loses on a weird collision headbutt between the two, and R-Truth falls on top of him. Great. So how do we feel about The Undertaker versus AJ Styles? That seems as though that's the match we're getting now. It's a for sure thing almost. Gentlemen, how are you feeling about this matchup?
I'm okay with it. We talked about it last week. I was hoping it was going to be Shawn Michaels. Kind of swerved the fans' expectations, and cause we had the discussion off air last week too. Who was Mr. WrestleMania? And me being a Shawn Michaels fan, I said Undertaker because I was thinking of the streak and everything. But you guys sold me on the fact that my guy is Mr. WrestleMania. He's had always the consistent matches. They've always been amazing. Undertaker has some so-so matches. Like
you're being very generous.
Yeah, Nathan Jones.
Giant Gonzalez.
Oh, God, I forgot about that one actually, too. Yeah. But, yeah, now we had... It looks like all things are pointing to WrestleMania, to this feud. We have, 5 weeks to build on it starting Sunday? I think it's good. I hope Undertaker is healthy enough to do this.
Remy, how do you feel about this matchup coming for WrestleMania?
I'm a pretty big fan of Undertaker going back. I think that the last few years I've kind of reassessed, how I feel about his legacy, especially his legacy continuing. And I feel like, if you would put a bow on his career all the way back at WrestleMania 30, that would have been great. If you would put a bow on his career, what was it, 34?
When he lost to Roman Reigns?
Yeah, when he lost to Roman Reigns.
I believe so. I believe it was 34.
Yeah.
So we'll have Statboy check that out for you.
It's, 33 or 34. I'm getting mixed up a little bit. that would have been a good time to go out too. And
33.
It was 33. Okay, I just remembered it as being 4 WrestleManias after WrestleMania 30. It's another case where you have this, old part-timer who is very past his prime, coming back, being booked to look like this unstoppable, kind of character that he's not anymore. I mean, physically, The Undertaker is not imposing at this point. Like, there's a difference between all the, spectacle of his entrance and actually seeing him limp into the ring and try to do that choke slam and try to do everything else,
The worst choke slam.
It's not good to watch anymore, and it makes me sad, to be honest.
Yeah, there was only one match on my book, and that was versus Sting. And I see Mark is holding himself in, so I'm going to let him go and just burst right out with his opinion.
Yeah, by all means.
I really want to try to appeal this podcast to all ages, to all fans. So I'm going to really just keep my mouth shut on this one. I really have nothing positive to say about The Undertaker. You asked the question, what do I think about Undertaker versus AJ? Mm-hmm. There's 2 ways I look at it. As a fan like us, we're wondering why AJ isn't getting better. But if you're looking at it from AJ Styles' perspective, he's going in the ring with a legend, a Hall of Famer, the biggest WWE created superstar. And from that aspect, I'm happy for AJ because he's going to have a marquee match at WrestleMania against a guy who, like Carlos said, could be argued as Mr. WrestleMania. I just think that we as fans know that this match is probably going to be carried by AJ. And we think that AJ deserves better. And what I mean by better is really it's for us. I'm being selfish. Because we want a good match. We want a high-paced match. We want a WrestleMania quality match that we're not going to get with AJ Styles versus The Undertaker, that we would have gotten with AJ versus Shawn, or AJ versus Daniel Bryan, or anything like that. We want those type of matches, and we're not going to get it. And that's how I see it.
I'm okay with this matchup just because of a couple factors. One being AJ Styles just came off of injury, so we need to remember that they're probably trying to protect him. Undertaker's not going to do anything ridiculous out of the way.
Well, he could probably carry AJ's weight for that damn tombstone, unlike Goldberg.
Oh God. Yeah, he's our
so
world
there
champion
you go.
at the moment. and Macaulay Culkin said...
Spoiler alert, we haven't gotten that far, Nick.
I mean,
Are we really talking about Macaulay Culkin?
Yeah, it's 1998
Mac Culkin.
I mean, we gave up the spoiler 10 seconds into this podcast because Jesus Christ, it's so bad. It just stunk the rest of the card up. Even though this card was I'm gonna go on the route of Mark and not even talk anymore because I got nothing positive to say. So we're gonna switch it up. And we're going to take a look at The Miz and Morrison winning the tag team titles, SmackDown tag team titles.
Hey. Ho, ho. Miz and Morrison.
Over the New Day. Gentlemen, is this something we should look forward to for the tag division? I mean, we'll get into it more because, something happened on SmackDown, but...
we can bring it up now because it's of no. I mean, Miz and Morrison winning is good. Their post-match interview on WWE.com or, and YouTube was pretty good. It was very poignant for them to show that, hey, we're in this together. We both feel like revitalized in our careers now, being back together in 2020. But yeah, it was announced last night on SmackDown that we have a changed. Well, all right, I don't know if anyone saw the local ads for Elimination Chamber. We're all in Philadelphia, which is taking place here. But anyone saw the ads? The original ad had Bobby Roode, Dolph Ziggler, Roman Reigns, and there was a few other superstars for an Elimination Chamber match. That changed last night. Now it's going to be a tag team Elimination Chamber for the SmackDown tag team titles. So it was Miz and Morrison, Lucha House Party, The New Day, Usos, and pardon me, I'm just checking my notes here. Ziggler, Rude, and Heavy Machinery. So I think we're gonna have a good match here. I think that's fine. And I think them winning the titles kind of restarts that storyline. It's not like the New Day were doing fine. This was a weird title run for them anyway, with not having Woods there as like that kind of third mouthpiece and kind of building up more storylines. I thought it'd be more entertaining this title run. It hasn't. It doesn't diminish them as a team. I think they're amazing at everything they do. So.
Yeah, I think that Brock Lesnar knocking Kofi off so quickly kind of lost the shine just on them, and then being demoted to a tag team champion is just like meh.
With no retaliation too. With no retaliation at all.
No.
They haven't built any storyline reason for Kofi to go after him.
Yeah, him not even being pissed about it. It's just like, oh,
Yeah.
it's a title. No, it should be more than that.
And hey, look, I mean, he makes do with what he can, so that's perfect. But he deserved better.
Mark, how do you feel about the Miz and Morrison?
Well, unlike Goldberg and Lesnar, we're not going back to 2004. We're only going back to 2010. So there's a positive there. They can still go. They're young enough that they can still go. I had no problem. I think we all predicted that they were going to win the titles because of the way that
Stone Cold Lock.
Yeah, right. It was. Yeah. So yeah, I'm okay with it. It's fine.
Remy.
Honestly, to me, this was the highlight of maybe this entire show.
Yeah.
Which, if you're telling me that,
Highlights.
if you're telling me seriously that Miz and Morrison winning the tag titles is the best part of an entire show, that's no disrespect to these guys. I mean, they're fantastic. They have excellent chemistry with one another, and this is a win that they needed to get. To kind of show that this isn't a step back for the Miz. And this is a reintroduction, for John Morrison, Jomo, our boy Johnny Nitro,
The shaman of sexy. That's what it is.
to get back in here and prove that he's credible. It was good. It was booking that made sense.
Yeah, I definitely look forward to the Elimination Chamber match because all the people involved can go. So I'm sure it'll be a quick, not quick match, but like in short burst, very exciting match.
If I'm not getting ahead of myself here, if we go down the card next, we have Garza versus Humberto. Like we can just kind of move past that, right?
Yeah. I was just gonna briefly mention that because in my opinion that might have been the best match, technically sound. Like them two can go. It's just it's an irrelevant match because one
there's no meaning to it.
Zelina Vega wasn't out there.
Yeah, there's no meaning to it.
They don't mention anything about Andrade and Angel Garza teaming.
There was
up.
only 3 women shown off.
Yeah.
That at Super Showdown, right? Lana got her giant paycheck for walking out.
And then
in full garb and turning right back around. Yeah. So her Rusev got paid. Rusev didn't even have to come.
Right.
He canceled. He was like, wait, that's all I'm going to do? I'm good.
We want you to walk all the way to the entrance ramp, wave, turn around, come back.
Yeah.
Get on a plane.
Here's $1 million.
Maybe not.
I don't. Yeah, not for them. Yeah.
Maybe like $10,000 or something. Next we got Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy, known as Murphy now, because WWE loves to get rid of names. Next thing you know, Aleister Black will just be Black.
Dude, it's gonna happen. You're calling it. It's gonna happen, and that's how we're starting that show.
They're gonna be. He's gonna be Aleister. Yeah. I would go with that.
I think Vince knows he can't.
You think no? In my head, we're kind of in a board meeting just for context. Someone walks in. He's like, "All right, so we're gonna name you Black," and there's one intern that's like. No,
the guy's Dutch. The farthest thing
from Black.
Well, not really. I mean, there's a lot of black people that are Dutch.
Yeah. That's fair.
I've seen a lot of soccer players.
Did you just call Dutch a country?
Deutsch.
I'm sorry, Remy. We mean Deutsch.
I'm sorry. I'm just so distracted by all this nonsense on this card. Christmas. So yeah, we got Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy versus the Street Profits. They defeated them. It was a relatively.
I'm going to comment on this match if I may.
Yeah, go right ahead.
We all joked last week that we were all going to not watch it, but make fun of it while it was happening. It happened during work, and I happened to have lunch during this match, and I have a pretty understanding boss who whatever, as long as I'm in the office and eating lunch, I'm okay. So I happened to turn on the network during this match, and I saw the last 5 minutes or so of the match, and I would say that was pretty well contested. Street Profits looked really good in the loss. It was like a curb stomp with I think it was Montez Ford was halfway out of the ring. Seth Rollins hit a curb stomp from the outside of the ropes.
Yep.
A pretty devastating maneuver. We all know that curb stomp is an over move. So from what I saw, it was a pretty decent match. It probably elevated Street Profits to world title contention, at least in the eyes of the viewer. But again, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody's there to hear it, did it make a noise? I don't think anybody really watched this pay-per-view to see the Street Profits.
Yeah, I think they're out to follow up on Raw with the storyline and start building with either that or Elimination Chamber. Like they always have those backstage segments, the Street Profits.
And they're over.
They
good.
really are, man. I mean, their look, everything, their moveset is perfect, suited for like a showcase. So I think, in my head, I think there's some kind of weird 4-way tag match that you have for WrestleMania, and they win.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Elimination Chamber had 2 tag team matches in the elimination, because I mean both main events are already set for WrestleMania.
That's fair.
So I don't see them doing anything wonky like having Roman Reigns versus Gilbert. like
let's bring him back.
Yeah, might as well at this point.
As a warm up for Goldberg, sure. I see Elimination Chamber written all over this, and I think the Street Profits are very entertaining. They're very, very entertaining. Remy.
Well, just as an aside, I'm going to go ahead and say that I would love to see Gilbert on 205 Live. just
LA heavyweight champion, baby.
Just coming like beating up all the competition, just like jackhammers on jackhammers. I mean, what do they call Gilbert's finisher?
Oh man,
that's a wiki thing. I'm gonna have to look at.
We can come back to it later.
Yeah. So it just seems like it was a fairly generic match. It elevated the Street Profits just a smidge. We're just gonna move on because it honestly was kind of irrelevant. Speaking of irrelevant, we have Mansoor versus Dolph Ziggler.
No. Remember, Remy loves Mansoor.
If Mansoor could be Mr. Saudi Arabia, he is 4-0 on Showdown.
Like, and I like Mansoor. I do. I'm going to be honest.
I'm just I can't get the picture out of my head of him like the Undertaker.
Oh, the one you sent us.
He's like reaching up to the sky for Super Showdown.
That's gonna happen. He's gonna be Mr. Super Showdown.
I'm so sorry, Remy. Go ahead.
No. By all means. He's got a good look. He's likable, and this was a good match. I don't know if it was a good match because of Ziggler, or if it was these guys have good chemistry. If Mansoor is talented, I couldn't tell you because this guy doesn't wrestle anywhere else but Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, he's starting to show up in more NXT stuff. I think he has an Evolve match this weekend.
I'm not sure. We'll have to look up.
There's a bunch of NXT people going to be at Evolve this weekend. I think he has a match.
Involved. He was in the early segment with
the
Renee
kickoff,
Young,
right? Yeah.
And who else was it? Booker T.
Oh,
Yeah.
for Takeover, right? He was in the kickoff show. Yeah.
Remy pointed that out last week.
Yeah. Because originally we thought it was going to be a match, but no. I think he's talented. I think like all of us just want to see him do more.
It seemed like the crowd reacted the same way we felt. Like, it's not that we don't think he's a bad wrestler or anything like that. It's just we only see him in Saudi Arabia, and he's like the token Saudi guy. And it's just like, how stupid do you think we are as fans?
I mean, yeah. Well, that's. I had mentioned that this is kind of the kind of a similar thing. When WWE was trying to break the market in India, and they're just like busting out Jinder Mahal as like their world champion and everything else. It's like. You can't just shill somebody out to a demographic and think that they're going to care just because this guy is on their TV now. I mean, they have to be compelling. They have to be booked believably. And when, you have a guy like Mansoor that's only coming out to win matches in Saudi Arabia and he's completely irrelevant, like, when you get back home to the States, when you have like a, world champion like Jinder Mahal who just kind of comes out of nowhere, doesn't have a compelling title run, obviously like isn't ready for it. Like you can tell, where their priorities are at in terms of like breaking into markets, but it doesn't make for an engaging product.
Well, I do want to follow up on this because Nick, you mentioned that the crowd's reaction was strange for it. Like there was some boos you heard, some audible boos.
It was mixed. It was not like they hated him, but it was like, dude, we only hear from you when you come here. And like I said, fans aren't stupid. We have phones. We have technology. We have.
What is their exposure to WWE outside of these Super Showdowns and these crown jewels?
Are they not?
Do they have the network?
Are they not allowed to be on the internet? I'm not very familiar.
Yeah, I'm not
with Saudi Arabia. I didn't think Saudi Arabia was that tight-lipped.
No, I don't believe.
They wanted the Ultimate Warrior.
That's
just
fair.
remember that.
Well, that was just the prince. He might have been like infatuated with just that idea.
Like, are they similar to
North Korea?
Well, I was gonna say China, where they have like kind of like a internet that is.
I'll get Stat Boy to look that up.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that I don't think that their internet would be as open as ours. But if you just sort of observe the crowd and like kind of the vibes there, like, it's like.
In my head, like, would they have a tailored network where we don't see, per se, let's say, Mickie James versus Trish Stratus at WrestleMania? Well, that actually has been edited on the network. That ending.
Yeah.
So our stat boy went online. I'm going to read the top line, which is all it needs to be said. Multiple forms of media, including books, newspapers, magazines, films, television, and content published on the internet are censored in Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia is ranked 169th out of 180 countries for freedom of the press. So our answer is pretty much they're pretty much censored. So I mean, but for somehow, some way, they must be able to watch wrestling because they know who these people are.
Well, yeah, the way that I kind of look at it is, I think this is what I was sort of trying to not tiptoe around, but trying to like get the nuance of is that I know that the internet is heavily censored there, but I don't think Saudi Arabian people live under a rock.
Yeah, so they know Mansoor's not on Raw or SmackDown or NXT every week or even every month or every 6 months. So, I mean, we spent more time on that match.
God, we're spending more time than WWE deserves on this entire show.
Yeah, especially because we spent more time on that Mansoor segment than Brock Lesnar spent fighting Rick O'Shea.
Rick O'Shea.
That's his that should be his name because Ricochet is officially buried.
So yeah, I guess that's where we're at now is the Ricochet match, which to me is just a completely undeserved burial. I mean, and I'm not one of those guys that thinks it's it's bad inherently for Brock Lesnar to steamroll over people, but Ricochet deserved to get some level of offense.
I'm going to disagree with you. Look, Brock Lesnar could have destroyed anybody. We all said last week, I even went on record to say I could see a title change happening, Brock Lesnar winning the match back on Monday. Here's the thing, and we'll get into this a lot more later on in this discussion. Why are they sacrificing Ricochet for Brock Lesnar? There are so many other people they could have put in that match that would have been the same result. So it's not that Brock Lesnar buried Ricochet because, quite frankly, Brock Lesnar should be burying Ricochet the way that Ricochet is being booked every single week on Raw. The problem I have is that they actually let it happen. Why? If they weren't going to showcase Ricochet, even if it was a 5-10 minute match and Ricochet got some offense in, it would have been better than what we got. But if this was the result the entire time, that they were going to go out there and give under 2 minutes of wrestling, then why did they sacrifice Ricochet? I will never understand that, and I'm sorry, none of you guys have an answer for that.
No, and rumors were swirling that Heyman has a few select people from the Raw roster that he wants to bring up. One is Ricochet. We have Aleister Black as another one. I think Humberto is another one, and Andrade. And why? Is this a point where Heyman has no control over this match, even though he is kind of like the guy in charge of Raw, or is it? And like this event's like, just show him off. And hey, Brock is this guy, and this is like business. But you would think Heyman wants to show off Ricochet because Brock's not going to be around forever. Ricochet is young, and he's going to be around forever. He is a star, in the making, at least to the overall public. Like if you watch internet wrestling, if you watch New Japan, you know of his like status, and you've been a fan, or Lucha Underground, right? He was Prince Puma.
Prince Puma,
Yeah, so I think, yeah, that's fair. Okay, yeah, that's a good meme that you brought up, Nick.
I mean, how many times does WWE have to teach us this lesson? They don't care what we think. They don't care what we feel. I mean, obviously, everybody at this table, everybody probably in the whole WWE universe would have not blinked an eye twice if Ricochet ran out how he ran out, caught Brock Lesnar with a knee, and then tried to do an offensive move, and Brock said, and then dropped him the same way. No one would bat an eye. It's the fact that he didn't even get a lick. He bursted out of a cannon, and Brock Lesnar shrugged him off like you swatting at a fly at a family picnic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna roll back, and I agree with Mark in that I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer for why Brock Lesnar, has to go out there and beat a guy like Ricochet who should be fairly protected, like because losing that cleanly and like losing in such like a pathetic manner, I mean, it damages his credibility. Really, just losing cleanly like that at all.
If you put a 1 in front of a minute 30 and that match was 11 and a half minutes, I'm okay with the result.
Well, that's exactly how I feel about it too. Like there was no reason for him to get squashed like that.
How sweaty does Brock get at 11 minutes 30 seconds in Saudi Arabia?
There's not many people who have lasted that long with Brock, so.
So we're gonna switch over. Oh God, do we have to talk about Roman Reigns?
Let's just make it quick.
All right, Roman Reigns defeated Baron Corbin in a steel cage match. It was
Next.
a thing that happened.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, no more dogs.
Okay.
We're done.
I will say
something?
one thing on
Go ahead,
this,
Remy's
which
got
is,
something.
I called Corbin on this match, and I was wrong about that, and I was expecting to be wrong about it. I was holding on to this one shred of wishful thinking that you would book this match for a reason, and that it wouldn't just constantly be one-sided, or that we would have some kind of odd payoff that would explain why this feud has been going for so long, and instead, it's a So moving on, I guess.
We had the first ever women's championship match in Saudi Arabia. Bayley versus Naomi. Bayley won with tying Naomi's legs up in her shirt that she had to wear because they were in Saudi Arabia, and hitting her with a 4 DDT. I don't know what she calls it.
Yeah,
I don't think she has a name for it yet.
The disservice here was that they didn't get intricate costumes. I mentioned last week. It's rarely random, but it really like grinds my gears, so to say. No, but when Alexa and Sasha had the first match in the Middle East, which was in Abu Dhabi, they had intricate costumes made for it, basically a house show, and they're beautifully crafted to fit the character. And at Super Showdown, we get the same bull crap with a T-shirt. Are you kidding me? Seriously? You couldn't, like, it just shows they really don't give a crap about the women. But hey, they got paid. That's all that matters.
I mean, they went 11 minutes and 30 seconds. I'm not mad at that. There was if one little girl is watching and she is put in her head, hey, I can be a wrestler and I can get the fuck out of here, then I'm all for it.
I thought it was kind of a forgettable match with a clever finish. That's kind of where I'm at on it.
I'm going to wrap this up real quick because I thought that they wasted Naomi's opportunity at the title since coming back from injury with Saudi Arabia. So I think that
It should have been saved for WrestleMania.
it should have been saved for WrestleMania, but because the end the way it was, I think they realized that, they knew that, and they made the finish the way it was to reflect that.
That's
I'm
kind
okay
of
with
an out because she could be like, I never wear a freaking T-shirt.
Right, exactly. So
like, wrestle me as a normal person. You ain't doing that to me. So yeah, I agree. I still think it's on for WrestleMania, especially because we'll talk more about it when Friday. We talk about SmackDown because we had a big reveal.
oh my God.
A big reveal. And so we'll talk about the main event, if you want to call it that. Goldberg defeated Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, not Bray Wyatt, Mr. Rogers, in 3 minutes.
How long's our podcast?
We usually roll for an hour. We are at the 35-minute mark.
Okay, well, we're screwed then. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm going to save my fire.
So, I'm the SmackDown guy, and this is the SmackDown title, and I will say this is bullcrap. Why would you? I didn't even get to talk to you guys about this all week or yesterday, and I would love to that thought process of Bray Wyatt losing to Goldberg. Perfect. The Fiend, the monster who took all this punishment from Seth freaking Rollins
Like what?
in Hell in a Cell. He almost got hit with a cartoon mallet, like an Acme mallet from Looney Tunes. And you're telling me he's going to lose for 4 spears? No.
And a hammer.
Yeah, and the bro hammer, yeah, right?
He also got strapped, 20 times by Daniel Bryan at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And then stared him down and put on the mandible claw.
Yeah. And so why would you book the implications of what we have? So we have Roman versus Goldberg. Spoiler for my part of the thing at WrestleMania for the title. That match does not need to be for the title. That match could have still gone on. Mm-hmm. Both matches that have been set up last night on SmackDown, the big title, like the 2 big matches we have for WrestleMania, could have been still set up, and the Fiend could have still been champion, and everything would have been fine. My predictions for weeks have been Roman versus Bray for the title. Roman wins. I don't want Roman to win. I don't want him as champion. I want the Fiend to keep being champion because he's awesome. He's eventually going to lose that belt. So if he's going to lose to the superhero in Roman Reigns.
Lose to the full-timer.
Yes, lose to the full-timer. We already have a part-timer as champion on Raw. Leave that crap to Raw. This is SmackDown. SmackDown has always been the premier wrestling show as a wrestling fan. All through the Ruthless Aggression era, you can see we've had the debuts of John Cena, Eddie Guerrero's rise to prominence, Brock Lesnar's rise to prominence, Undertaker putting on some of the best matches past the 90s, and now we have just corporate bullcrap. I didn't even think of that. I didn't even think that Fox could have pulled the trigger on this and not Goldberg. And there's no offense to Goldberg. He seems like a lovely man. But I don't know. I don't know. If I was Goldberg and you're telling me, hey, man, you're going to win. No.
Right.
In my thought process, give me my money. Give me however much I got for this. Like, let's say $2 million, right? Whatever crap. Give me my $2 million. I'm going to put this dude over. Because he's the future. I'm not going to be here forever. I want this paycheck. I got kids. I want to do good by them. I'm done, though.
Did you just say Goldberg and put over in the same sentence?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean that
because the man
there's an alternate
the man
universe.
didn't lose for a long time, and then on top of that, he lost under the most wonky stipulations.
With a taser.
Yeah, like, everything is always wonky. It just never is clean. Because I don't know anything about Bill Goldberg personally, so I'm not going to speak on the man himself. But from the outside looking in, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he's just focused on himself. He's already told us he doesn't give a crap about wrestling. So, I'll take that with a grain of salt because I'm a wrestling fan. So he's just insulting the product that we all love, and he just does whatever he wants. So he would never say no, not give me the belt, no, not give me the win.
And this is an aside, but I want to interject there too about like how wonky, that jackhammer was. I mean, at a certain point, it's like, look, call an audible. Don't beat the guy with a body slam. If you're Bray Wyatt, please, just kick out of it. And I understand they probably don't have that much freedom in terms of what the finishes are. Just kick out of the hammer and take another spear because that looked bad.
Yeah, he could have easily just picked him up again. He didn't even have the grace to lift his leg up for an actual pin. He held his pants up sort of and just covered him. It was just insulting. Mark,
this is what we've been waiting for.
Let's do this. I don't want to go. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
I can let you stew for a little longer while we talk about SmackDown because you'll have time to go off on Goldberg. Why don't we just jump right into Friday Night SmackDown, and I'll let Mark gather his thoughts. So, because the very first thing that happened on Friday Night SmackDown, Carlos.
Well, yeah, here we go. Straight from my notes. SmackDown opens up with the new Universal Champion Goldberg and a chorus of boos As much as I dislike this, I will say Santa Sleigh is one of my funniest and favorite Christmas horror movies.
They booed him because in the clip I saw, they cheered him. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, there was some booze in there.
Okay.
There was definitely some booze. It was like cheers in the beginning, and then some booze once he started, like, got on the mic. And he acknowledged it. He smiled. He was like, yeah. And he started eating up the booze. He's kind of playing off that. And then after a while, he was just like, hey, it's not about who was last. It's about who's next. Cue Roman Reigns. Which set up WrestleMania. That was a WrestleMania build. That's how we started this feud. Was Roman Reigns came out, looked him in the eyes, and said, "I'm next." That's it.
You know, I really, really feel for Roman in this one. If I have to pick the next victim after, you know, Bray Wyatt, who deserved so much better in all of this, it's Roman Reigns. And, you know, they did such a good job of keeping this guy out of the title picture for a while, of just kind of, he's stuck wallowing through this god-awful, like, you know, feud with, you know, Baron Corbin, that just, King Corbin, the lone wolf, you know, that just sucks the air out of the room, you know, and they're putting him right back in the same situation again, where you have Roman Reigns, who's supposed to be the face of the company, and he's being set up to fail.
Well, yeah, look, I was trying to find a part of a wrestling Facebook group. I was trying to find someone trying to defend this, because I was mentioning off air that there were a lot of people defending this decision by WWE. But there's a meme that just popped up, and it's a happy and sad. The sad is there's a 50-year-old world heavyweight champion, and then the happy is there's a 50-year-old world heavyweight champion. One's Goldberg, one's Chris Jericho. What's the difference there?
One's a full-timer.
Exactly.
Right.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters in this situation is you're here to show every time.
I mean, I'm going to be honest, too, in all of this. I with all respect to, you know, Bill Goldberg as an athlete and as a character, he's not even in the same league as Chris Jericho.
No.
There's no comparison whatsoever. Chris Jericho has constantly reinvented himself over and over again. Bill Goldberg has played the same character his whole career. Chris Jericho is on television every single week. Chris Jericho puts guys over every single week. Like
He's been fresh every decade. I mean, you know what's real funny about all this too, about that comparison all around. Goldberg didn't want to wrestle Chris Jericho.
Right.
He thought he was beneath him in WCW, and now look at him.
Exactly.
And now look at him. And
Yeah, I want to pull up this tweet that was shared to the Facebook group I was part of. And it says, until today, The Fiend has been virtually invulnerable. If losing to Goldberg, a highly decorated former world champion and one of the few people to cleanly pin Lesnar in recent years, after taking his best finishers, ruins Wyatt, maybe he was already ruined before the match. I call BS.
I don't understand how some people have such nuclear bad takes. Like, just
it happens. People say nonsense every day, B. That's just how it is. But
and to just keep following up on this, the thing that it's not that Wyatt can't get himself over, should I say? I'm all angry. I'm messing up my words. No, it's not that he can't get himself over, which was also a highly debated thing yesterday on the group. It's the reasoning behind it is I don't trust WWE to follow through. With our development that we had last night with them, with The Fiend, that we'll get to later after we do our epic rant about Goldberg, I think they could do something special, but either never have put this belt on him, which was always the problem, or just, I don't know, just keep it on him for a while and have Roman beat him. Roman was the natural choice to beat him.
well, they're trying to change the storyline right now because they know they fucked up. They're trying to change the storyline, and they're trying to say, hey, Bray Wyatt didn't care about the title because it was a toy. He referenced it as a toy the whole time, and he's going after people that have wronged him in the past. You know, we'll get to who has wronged him in the past in a second. I've always been a proponent if you just swapped the title and put the title in Bray Wyatt's hands for the match that he's having, it would have more impact. And then a passing of the torch between Goldberg and Reigns would have been better. But I was sitting here listening to you guys, and I came to a realization. everybody's saying Reigns will be booed. I don't think so. I think he will be cheered.
He's finally going to get cheered.
He's going to get cheered.
He got cheered last night.
Yeah, because you know why? Because if you look back, right before the Saudi show, they asked him, who would you rather face, Goldberg or Bray Wyatt? And he said, I'd rather face Bray Wyatt because he's been busting his ass here full time, and he's been unstoppable, and I want to be the one to stop him, essentially. So he knows, everyone backstage knows that they don't want these part-timers coming up left and right, taking opportunities from them. I think he's going to be cheered, and I think, as much as I hate to admit it, it'll work in Vince's favor, even though right now we have such a salty taste in our mouth.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think with the development storyline that we had, at least with The Fiend, building off of that, and now we have The Fiend versus John Cena, and him kind of closing the door on another person that's wronged him in the past. Yeah, spoiler. Let's just get into it because it's all intertwined. Like, it all is intertwined to this. Now, we have confirmation this morning from WWE officials that it's going to be The Fiend Bray Wyatt versus John Cena at WrestleMania 36. Quite possibly, Cena's last match, right?
Well,
it was alluded to last night.
in a while.
Yeah.
Like I think he might be taking like a year or two off from even doing anything WWE wise. He's starting to really get a lot of hype in Hollywood.
I mean, well, he's already taken a lot of time off. Like, I think that this is sort of a, it's kind of a consolation prize for The Fiend in a way. You can roll back the clock a little bit and have him get that win over John Cena, that eluded him before.
Yeah. I hate how Michael Cole acts like it's the first time they interacted. Bray Wyatt and John Cena at WrestleMania. Oh my God. Didn't they wrestle at WrestleMania 30?
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, I'm fine with it because of the simple fact that I know John Cena is not going to do the wrong thing, and he's going to let Bray Wyatt win.
I mean, yeah, I think I do. I think that Cena's going to be, selfless in this. I think that Cena's going to do the job, and I think that they'll probably have a pretty good match. It's like I feel apprehensive because you looked at this last match, and it's like, in your head, you're thinking that, it's the job of an older, wrestler, a legend like Goldberg, to put over Bray Wyatt, to make him look more credible, and then they don't do that. They over and over again, they don't do that. And, the same problem remains is it's like, people, you have a lot of people that criticize, the younger generation of wrestlers in WWE for, not being able to get their characters over, calling them complacent and, lazy, or just having an inability to connect with the audience. How can you, when you're booked like this over and over and over and over and over again, where somebody, like Brock Lesnar or Bray Wyatt, or, in a lesser case, Undertaker, just comes in as a part-timer, rolls over you in under 5 minutes, takes a title away from you, and that's it. Like, you can barely, like, these guys that are past their prime, maybe not so much in the case of Brock Lesnar, but definitely in the case of like Bill Goldberg, shouldn't be winning these matches. And you can't get over under those circumstances when you're supposed to be an unstoppable monster. You're Bray Wyatt, who's in the physical prime of his life, losing to a guy in his 50s. I mean, and we talk about credibility in wrestling. It's scripted. It's not real, but there's still an element to it.
Well, that's my biggest thing. Is not the fact. It's not even the fact that he lost or lost the belt. I mean, I can get past all that. It's the fashion he lost. And the fact that Bray Wyatt can't win the big match. It's the same stuff that plagued him in his past character. His past persona could never win the big one. And that's what's happening now. He can't win the big one. So, like, I'm saying he should beat Cena, and we all, I don't know if everybody agrees with me about Cena being a nice guy and just doing what needs to be done. But at the same token, how can I take Bray Wyatt seriously to win this match? How? Over John Cena.
And it wouldn't be Bray's fault, right? It's not Bray's fault if something happens.
No.
Because I trust Bray Wyatt. I don't trust WWE.
When's his contract up? I'm looking
know.
up his contract because I swear to God, if Matt Hardy goes to the Dark Order and Bray Wyatt's like, I'm out, and
Let's just do it. Yeah.
let's just have a whole damn cult.
Let's do it. It's the corporate ministry all over again.
Mark, you've been stewing there for a while.
This is what I've been waiting for. I've been waiting.
Okay.
And you're turning into Dr.
I'm going to turn down your mic just a little bit for this one.
Okay. I am not even going to go off the way that you guys think I'm going to go off. I'm so pissed.
He's gonna scold us.
I'm so pissed.
Disappointed parent.
Yes. Okay. There is a cloud of uncertainty over WWE right now. Just a few short weeks ago, there was a big conference call. Stocks went down. The Michelle and George were fired, the senior vice presidents. There's speculation that a sports streaming service like ESPN Plus is going to take over the WWE network shows. So let's compare UFC, which is probably the closest to wrestling. Nick brought this up last week. $750 million. $750 million. ESPN paid UFC for the rights to their fights. ESPN Plus is a $4.99 monthly service. Unless you tie it in with Disney Plus, it's part of some deal. And on top of that, the big shows, most recently Conor McGregor's last fight, was $64.99 for about 2.5 minutes worth of actual fight. This is not 1997 anymore. This is not, I mean, we as fans could be happy because there's a lot of options out there. But this is not WWF Raw with Stone Cold Steve Austin rising to the top and The Rock in the wings. This is not the NWO at its height. This is bringing back 50-year-old part-timers, not putting over the current talent, and if they go to a streaming platform like ESPN Plus, are they going to expect fans to spend $49.99, $59.99, $64.99 for this fucking shit? Because guess what, fans? They're not paying $9.99 for it now. And it pisses me off because doing a little math on my calculator here, $9.99 a month, which is a great deal, by the way, times, let's be average. Let's give the average. Every quarterly conference call, the WWE Network numbers are between 1.2 and 1.6 million subscribers. They have not broken that 2 million subscriber point. At 1.2 million, the lowest on that range, WWE makes $143,856,000 a year. So if they're going to sell any of their rights to these big shows to ESPN Plus, I'm just saying ESPN Plus because that's the one that's being thrown out there. We don't know any of this. This is all speculation. It's going to be set, 6 years? I mean, you have to imagine that they're going to sell it for a similar price point as UFC. The only difference, UFC, like boxing, is a legitimate sport. It's not a work. So there is money to be made in Vegas for UFC fights. For box, you don't make money in Vegas off of pro wrestling. So my whole point, and I'm going to tie this up in a nice little bow. My whole point with being so mad at Brock Lesnar getting over Ricochet in a minute and a half, and my whole point about Goldberg beating The Fiend, not Bray Wyatt, in 3 minutes, is that people are not spending $9.99 a month to watch this. They're not going to spend more. So if they wanted to entice people to put money into the network or into this future streaming, they should be getting current talent over, and they're not. And that is what's driving me nuts. And I'm sorry that I went on a little bit of a rant there, but it's nothing against Bill Goldberg. I, as a fan, was happy to see Bill Goldberg back. If you take what happened at SummerSlam last year where he takes out Dolph Ziggler, that was fine. That was a great use of a legend in this business, getting him one final shot in the spotlight.
Agreed.
He should be nowhere near the world title, and he should be nowhere near a talent that took over a year to finally get over and was getting over, and as you pointed out, Carlos, took Seth Rollins, beat the crap out of Seth Rollins after Seth Rollins beat the crap out of him, and then in 3 minutes and a shitty jackhammer ruins it. It to me, I will never understand. And trust me, NXT has their issues, minor, but they have issues. They're stuck in the damn Full Sail University. Those fans are driving me up a wall. I can't even watch it anymore. AEW is getting better and better. And I saw that meme I forwarded you guys where all of AEW were Cody, the Bucks, and whoever else were laughing because Lesnar and Goldberg are the world champ. To me, this should be a hot time in pro wrestling, and we're going back. And it's how are you going to sell the 10-year-old kids that, oh, this is good stuff, when an old man is their world champion? I don't get it. I'm done.
Yeah, one of my things I brought up when someone was arguing was that as reflectory, right? Like, Edge is going to be a world champion in this current iteration of his contract. At some point, yes, he's a part-timer and he has limited dates he works, but I wholeheartedly agree he's going to be a world champion at some point, whether it be Universal or WWE. But the difference between that is his retirement was forced. It wasn't a choice. It was, hey, the choice was, do you want to live? Do you want to walk? Do you want to play with kids when you have kids with Beth eventually? Do you want this to happen? Because if you do, get out now so you don't hurt yourself. So his choice was taken away from him. Goldberg chose to retire. So in my thought process and what we've been told as wrestling fans, as marks that we call ourselves, is when you get to a certain degree in wrestling, you give back. You go so far, you give back. Look at Triple H.
It's an unwritten
right?
rule.
Yeah, it's an unwritten rule. Triple H took so much for the business, right? We always say. And now he's giving back with NXT.
He took a lot from the business.
He took a lot from the business. But look, he's giving back with NXT. Undertaker has given back to the business. His win, I think, is super, like, it's like Saudi and WWE. It's it's whatever. And it shouldn't have gone. And it's a dumb trophy.
I mean, to be honest with you, Undertaker, the 2 losses he has at WrestleMania, the 2 jobs he did were basically for the 2 people who one is a world champion and the others in the world championship match.
I'm going to take 2 asides really quickly. First off, we look at the that gauntlet match on Super Showdown. Why did Taker have to come out and win the match?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, he could have just come out and choke slammed AJ after the match was up.
Right.
And you would have had
cost him the match. He could have cost him the match when Rey Mysterio came out, and like Rey Mysterio could have won.
Yeah.
Instead,
sure.
Yeah.
Vince would allow that.
So yeah, anything could have happened, but it's like, you're talking about like not putting over, new talent, and we're looking back to some of the hot points in the history of the business. I was joking with Nick, before we were airing, and what if you're looking at the '96 King of the Ring, and they decide, okay, well here's 40-something-year-old Jake Roberts with this successful comeback story, is like Cinderella story here.
Bible thumper.
Yeah, let's take Jake Roberts. He's gonna go all the way. He's gonna win this thing. The young up and coming Jake Roberts is gonna beat Stone Cold clean.
But this is not a new problem.
No.
The WWE has been having this problem with establishing superstars pretty much since the Invasion angle ended in 2002. So they split the brands, and initially that created stars. Like Carlos said, SmackDown was always the wrestling program. You had the Paul Heyman,
SmackDown 6.
You had the SmackDown 6.
And John Cena.
Right, but you made John Cena. John Cena became somebody, even though he was forced down our throats.
Well, they had Cena and Batista were the cornerstones. Batista went on to bigger and better
Right.
things. Cena stayed and got transferred to Raw, then to SmackDown.
But people forget that during that time, they still, go back and watch Evolution, where they're trying to build up Randy Orton, and they still bring back Cactus Jack and The Rock. WrestleMania 20, they had that 3-on-2 match. They still
jobbed.
brought, but they
The Rock jobbed.
right, The Rock jobbed. Right, he lost. So like, they've always had this issue. They've always had this problem of bringing up, and they're not using the old established talent to put over the young talent, and it drives me absolutely nuts.
There is one exception to the rule that I'll think of, and bless his heart for doing this. Shawn Michaels on his second run.
Absolutely.
Shawn Michaels on his
Shelton
second one.
Benjamin.
Yeah.
He put over Shelton. Well, I don't know if he put him over. Had that match with him.
But that is like Shawn Michaels like second WWE his WWE run, after he came back and his back was all healed up. That is a textbook example of how you book a veteran. He still had all the credibility in the world, but he spent a lot of that time putting people over in a way that the old Shawn Michaels would not have.
I'm going to give you another one. Sting. Sting came back and put over Seth Rollins. Yeah. He put over Triple H, that up and comer. Yeah. So Sting can do it. Why can't Goldberg? Why can't Lesnar? Why can't
Rey Mysterio's doing it right now. Look at we know his clock is ticking. He knows his clock is ticking. Who's he putting over? Humberto. He's putting over Andrade. The next stars in the Latin American sphere of wrestling. These are the people you need to look out for because I'm done. So you got these guys and my son, who I believe in, are gonna take our Latino heritage forward in wrestling. So let me show you why they're awesome. Because I'm awesome, and you see.
Can we please move on?
Yeah, I'm ready to move on. Yeah, I was waiting for you guys.
I feel like I'm popping a blood vessel here.
Yeah, we got to get to NXT and then get to AEW.
We can skip NXT. Let's just get to AEW.
Well, I briefly just want to gloss over a couple things because they're very important. I mean, you guys can chime in, but Finn Balor got attacked by Imperium, so it seems as though we're headed for a Walter versus Finn Balor match.
That's gonna be so good.
We win.
We win.
Yeah. NXT always blesses us. I'm looking forward to that. And the second thing is Charlotte Flair defeated Bianca Belair. So any thought of a triple threat match or anything like that happening is out the window. My thought on that real quick. I don't understand why Rhea Ripley came out.
Did her whole entrance?
Waited for her whole entrance.
Yeah, did the whole stomp.
Waited to kick her leg out and do all that extra shit. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, Charlotte's like, okay, I'm going to put this figure 4 on, and then I'll turn it into a figure 8, and then I see you, and then I'll just roll out the ring.
And it's after she put her leg into the chair and kicked it.
Yeah, just for good measure. Yeah, Rhea Ripley was like...
That was a weird... That was like... It was like when you watch NXT, you're like, this is a WWE move. Why are you doing? It's like Batista doing the gun thing. When he's trying to save Randy Orton. No, stop the gun thing. Go run. Randy's getting hurt.
It made sense and it didn't make sense because why does Rhea Ripley have to save Bianca Belair? She really shouldn't care about her at all.
Yeah, but it's more the Flair thing.
But at the same point in time, it was just funny. She came out and waited for her whole thing to do the leg kick. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, were they killing for time? Like that. I'm glad everyone thought of that too.
So we'll skip through NXT. Yeah. It's amazing as always. If you have a chance to watch it, I'd watch it over Raw or SmackDown any day of the week.
Yeah. Those are the two biggest storylines.
We're gonna go right into AEW. We won't cover this week's edition because most of it is churned into Revolution.
Show, yeah.
So any bullet points that Remy wants to pull out for AEW this week, we will go along with the matches for the pay-per-view.
I do want to step in real quick. I don't know if you guys saw I don't know if you were going to mention it, but the segment between Jim Ross interviewing the Young Bucks and
this was my favorite part of the thing.
I'm glad you mentioned it.
Yeah, that storyline is
so I'm sorry. I know that this is Remy. You want to bring it up, but that furthered my prediction. My prediction has always been this entire time that everyone thinks that Adam Page is going to be the one that turns. No. This is a Kenny Omega. Go ahead.
So before you get into that, we might as well jump right into the match. We don't know how these matches will take place. We don't know if this is the first match on the card, the second to last, whatever. So we have the Young Bucks, challenging Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. Mark, go ahead and continue with your thoughts. We'll intertwine with that.
So they've been really doing a great job establishing Adam Page as a contender, to singles and of course tag team. He lost the world title match to Jericho last year. He's been kind of on a slump. He kind of won it out of the Elite. And they've been kind of, at the same time that you think he's going to be heel, he's been drinking beers and interacting with fans. He is probably the most over face other than Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So everyone thinks he's going to be turning. Why? This is a total Elite turn. This is a Kenny Omega and Young Bucks are going to be the ones that turn heel. And Adam Page will be forced to battle all three of them on his own until he brings help from the outside to assist. And who better than Private Party, who kicked off this whole beer drinking thing anyway when Adam Page didn't pay for the drink at the. So That's where I see this going. I see this. Everyone says, "Oh, it's going to be Paige." No, Paige is a face, man. Paige is over. This is a Omega and Young Bucks heel turn if I ever saw one. This is Pro Wrestling 101. Stone Cold Lock tomorrow night. Tonight. New AEW World Tag Team Champions, the Young Bucks, and Kenny Omega celebrates with them with a beatdown of Adam Page. Book it.
So, I mean, it's good that you mentioned all of this because I agree with everything you just said, with the exception of Kenny Omega turning heel. I think that, I mean, in that promo on Dynamite, I mean, that firmly established, like, the Young Bucks were not sympathetic whatsoever. That was not a babyface promo. They were total jerks.
No, they felt like, I don't know if you ever had that one friend that's like screwing up in life and you're like, you know what, I've been trying to baby you for a while. And this is the good thing about this promo and that interview is that I saw it as both ways. You're like, hey, I'm having a hard time and I just want to leave and I know this is best for me. Just let me do what I need to do. And they were like, no, screw you. We're your friends. We're going to help you. But it's also not great. It's also a little toxic that like they keep keeping him in here. And like now he's a beer drinker, right? Now he's getting drunk all the time. He's got that weird lower third every match. But I think like it was so believable on both ends having the Bucks being like, no, you know what? I'm sick of your crap. I'm sick of you doing this. You stopped drinking. You were a jobber before we found you. And then it just like that negative side of your brain clicked over and you're like, I should have said that. But you know what? Keep going. No, he needs to hear this. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of how you act. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of that. It's believable.
I mean, it's so refreshing to get around to this AEW portion of things because this booking, this writing is so three-dimensional. Mm-hmm. Like every week you get a new layer of something and it's compelling. You know, you're constantly asking in your head, like, I wonder how this can go. I wonder what they're gonna do. Like, I mean, I'm in it for this.
So who's your winners? I didn't get a prediction.
Young Bucks.
Young Bucks.
I mean, I think the Bucks have to win this match. You're going to make them like lose again.
Yeah, I
Stone Cold Lock.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be the Young Bucks winning this match. I agree with Mark with everything except for the Kenny Omega thing. I'm with Remy on that. I don't think the way Kenny Omega acts is aloof, and I could see him being like, what's going on? Why are you so mad? We lost to our best friends, and Paige is like, we're the champions. Like, I should be pissed. Why aren't you pissed? Because that's how he kind of like approaches it. But I see the Young Bucks kind of like taking advantage and being very heelish throughout the match.
I see the gears turning in Mark's head, and I'm gonna go ahead and say that I think Kenny Omega has every reason to turn heel. Up to a point. I just don't know if they'll pull the trigger tonight.
He's over too.
I have a defense of my argument and my stance. They ended he had a great feud with Pac, and he won that match this past week.
Yep.
So again, going back to what Remy says, three-dimensional booking, taking a step back and looking from afar. They've been building up Pac, attacking all these guys backstage and attacking Riho and attacking, what's his name, Yamaguchi or whatever.
He doesn't have...
Well, Nakazawa, thank you. No, he didn't. That would have been great.
I think
he said Nala Rosa attack, but you get my point. They're all friends of Omega,
right.
And they ended that because he won the match. Pac lost this past rubber match between the two in sudden death overtime, and that's where I see this being. Omega's the one guy who I don't think we've seen the Kenny Omega that we were supposed to get from New Japan. His character has not quite clicked with the AEW audience. And it's not because he's a bad wrestler, of course. He's great. But I don't think you take Kenny Omega from New Japan, it's not the same Kenny Omega in AEW.
I think it's purposeful too. I think the whole elite have been booked themselves correctly. If the Bucks win tonight, which we all predicted, I think it's really impressive how they booked themselves since AEW has started, because we assume they're like,
they would be the first tag team.
Of course, they're going to be the first tag team champions. Cody's going to be the first,
yeah.
Or Paige is a lock for being the world champion. No, everything has been like, no, you think it's going this way? It's not going this way. It's inevitable that these things are going to happen.
Right.
But it's when is it going to happen? And how do they build?
I think they were smart enough because they listened to the wrestling community and think if they would have done that, the shine would have wore off by now. and then what?
Right.
Then they have to rebuild these storylines. No, it's better to build heels and then try to be faces and then swap all over.
Insert Cody Rhodes here. I'm telling you, on February, what's today's? February 29th. It's leap year, guys. I am telling you on February 29th, 2020, the man to dethrone Chris Jericho will be Cody Rhodes, not Jon Moxley, which I guess I just gave my prediction for that match tonight, too.
Well, that's okay, because if we fast forward to that, I think that I agree with you. I don't think Moxley wins the title. If we're moving on to, well, I guess, first off, I think that I don't know if we've ever seen heel Young Bucks before. And if that's
in
the
Ring of
route
Honor, absolutely. Yeah.
That's you're right. Okay, you are right about that.
They created Bullet Club. They were one of the founding
I
members.
can't believe that's so stupid of me.
Is that what we're doing? Or are we going straight for the world
I'm
title?
sorry.
Or do we?
I'm taking over the show, goddammit.
I just don't know if we want to take the world title and. Well, I guess you know what, we could do the world title and we'll save the MJF and Cody for last because I feel like that's probably the most meaningful match on the card.
That's fair.
Since we've already gotten our prediction out of Mark.
That's fair.
Thank you, Mark. I just didn't want to talk about SoCal versus the Dark Order, last or something.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
So let's talk about Jon Moxley versus Chris Jericho. Moxley headbutted Chris Jericho so hard
Oh
he
my
split
God.
him
Legit,
open.
legit, yeah.
He legit split him open.
But you know what? Both professional and both made it look beautiful.
They are great dancing partners. If you remember their matches in WWE, they were so good together that this feels fun. I think they're gonna
I think a
unleash
lot of
something that
people
we
love
haven't
Jon
seen
Moxley.
before.
I've never heard of anybody saying that. I didn't like working with him. He was a bad dude. Like I think everybody knows he loves wrestling and. He was just passionate about being his own man, essentially.
Yeah, I think the only thing that ever seemed negative was Rollins when he left, but I think he was just more perturbed that he left.
I'm gonna say Jon Moxley wins this match. I know you're with Cody
I
Rhodes
mean,
on this,
that's
but
Or
I
Jericho.
But I just
Yeah.
see him being like not a long champion, maybe just a transition champ, maybe transition from right back into Jericho, him jumping him or whatever. But I feel like every time Moxley wins, it's in a gritty, slick way, and then he overcomes the odds. And he must have a plan, knowing every member is going to come after him during this match. So I feel like we're going to see some form of a swerve or someone assist him in some sort of way, or him just take out everybody. But I'll take Moxley in this match.
Okay. I could see it going either way. I'm gonna go with Jericho. I think Jericho's gonna continue his massive reign as the first AEW champion and still building up the brand. I think his win would keep the brand going in a very strong way. I don't think we're at a level yet where, similar to the Ruthless Aggression era, Triple H, where he kept having the title and holding it for so long. I don't think we're there yet. I'm not tired of Jericho as champion. I think he keeps putting over his younger stars. I'm starting to go in your route, Mark. I think Cody might be the one. I think you're right. I've always been saying Paige for the longest time, but with the recent storyline, I think we're not there yet. I think Paige maybe will win after Cody wins.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Remy. I want to end on this one.
Well, I think it's pretty cut and dry for me that Chris Jericho wins. And this is mostly just on like a gut feeling of how you have to like keep this championship kind of meaningful, over the long term. And I don't think Moxley needs to be champion yet. I don't know if Moxley's a guy that needs to be champion at all. I mean, his whole character, is that of like a wild card. He fights who he wants to fight. He does what he wants to do. And that doesn't necessarily encompass, winning that world title. I think that somebody could just as easily, come out and cost him the match, or there's some kind of
Lance Archer?
I hadn't even thought of Lance Archer, but that's
recently.
that's a good way to bring him in.
Question would be, Lance Archer comes out, does that, mentions that they had their feud in New Japan because they're a little more free to talk about it. Jericho mentioned it after Wrestle Kingdom. He was like, hey, we both won at Wrestle Kingdom. We did so good together and all this stuff when he was trying to get Moxley to the inner circle. Why not build off other brands? Why not build off of their history with New Japan and mention New Japan? We're not dumb. We have the internet.
It benefits everyone because it gives somebody a backstory on top of the fact that the other company gets some shine.
He's about to get introduced to the major American audience again.
Again.
I doubt many people remember him in WWE.
I'm gonna say really for the real first time.
Exactly. Yeah, for the casual fan who's like, hey, I like AEW. I like what they're doing. I remember watching wrestling like this.
Who's this guy?
Yeah, but who is this guy?
I'm going to be the yin to Remy's yang, and that is that. And if you allow me, Nick, I'd also like to bring my point into the next match that we can go over, if you allow me to do that, because what I see happening here, 3D booking wise, from AEW standpoint, you have a highly contested match between Moxley and Jericho. I said earlier I don't think Jericho's going to lose the title. So you have someone like Sammy Guevara interfere on behalf of Jericho, Inner Circle, keeping the title. And you put Moxley with Darby Allin to challenge the new World Tag Team Champions because you're going to have Omega versus Page as a one-on-one program. So that's where I see this happening. I see Sammy Guevara costing Moxley the match. 2-on-1 beatdown, and then Moxley gets saved by AEW's natural first homegrown talent, Darby Allin. He's already over. Darby Allin and Moxley kind of have that intertwining history where they kind of saved each other in the past. They've also wrestled each other in the past, kind of like build out like mutual respect. And then you have that program go off for the World Tag Team Championship. Moxley as a tag team champion, I could definitely see.
I like it.
So I guess I'm going to say that Darby Allin is going to be going over Sammy Guevara, if you may let me introduce that one there, Nick.
Yeah, that's fine. I disagree. Just because of the simple fact that I agree with Darby Allin winning that match, but I disagree that Sammy Guevara is going to save Chris Jericho, because I kind of have the feel that there's two people on this card that are part of the Inner Circle, and I don't think we'll get to the next match, but I don't think Sammy Guevara is winning this match. So I could see him being taken out by Darby Allin, because Darby Allin really wants to hurt him. It's not even about winning as much as it's hurting. Ending last week in AEW, Sammy Guevara cracked Darby Allin over the back with his skateboard and shattered it all over the place. So I can see Darby Allin really hurting Sammy Guevara, and Guevara not even being able to help Jericho because he's so hurt.
Yeah, Darby Allin's a lock for me on winning this match, and I don't know. I mean, the only people from the Inner Circle that don't have a match on this card are Proud and Powerful.
Are they even called that anymore?
Santana Ortiz, baby.
Yeah,
sorry, Carlos.
No, it's fine. I was trying to think about that too. I was like, they are and aren't. That's the weird thing. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna say Allen wins. I think he needs to win. I know he's lost a lot in the past and he's looked good in defeat. I think he needs at least one win. And Guevara looks good in defeat, I think, because he's a chicken shit heel.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to see him just like, no, don't hurt me. You know?
Darby Allin is really on the same trajectory as Jeff Hardy. Like, Jeff Hardy lost a lot of his singles matches first starting before he really started to get going. And that just leads right into Jake Hager having a match for the first time in over a year, that I know about on TV.
This is an easy win in my book for Hager.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think this is another Stone Cold. Oh, no.
Interesting. I was gonna go.
I'm really interested.
Yeah,
you have to say,
interested.
Mark.
Because I was gonna go Hager too. I was like, the last match I saw was him against Aldis in NWA for the NWA World Championship, and that was a decent match. But yeah, I'm gonna go Hager on this one. I think this is gonna be also a very fun technical Hoss match. It's gonna be powerful and technical.
I think a 5-minute match.
Nothing crazy, but like good.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with Hagar winning this match. So if he does, I'm okay with that. But he has not wrestled yet in AEW. Dustin Rhodes has. And if we go by the philosophy that we used for Brock Lesnar, Bill Goldberg earlier in today's show, Dustin Rhodes is more quote-unquote fresh. He also has payback from having his arm broken at the hands of Hagar. I see Hagar totally dominating this match with an out of nowhere roll up from behind, holding the tights, Dustin win. That's how I see it happening. So by no means do I think Dustin's going to beat Hagar to the point of pinning 1, 2, 3. This is going to be a total inside cradle roll up from behind, cheating, almost Dustin Rhodes cheating, like pulling the tights to win.
I was gonna say, how about like to reflect like the real line storylines? Hager, that was a thrown out contest, right? His last MMA match where he kind of needed to do in the dick.
Yeah.
Why don't we get ref bump, shatter dreams?
Right. they've been teasing it like,
Yeah.
almost every time that Dustin's in the ring.
Yeah.
They've never done it. So yeah, that would be that's what I'm saying. I'm seeing some
Yeah.
like Dustin gets dominated the entire match, pulls out the victory by sheer luck.
I was gonna say yeah. As much as he like Dustin, if you look at his history, starting off as a natural and all this stuff, he's also that heel. He's that like, hey, I know how to play the game.
Yeah.
Like I know my dad's
Right.
Dusty, but
Right.
I also learned under Rick.
But see that goes right into my theory. Like I said, I see Hager winning, but I could see Dustin trying to take advantage and hurt Hager, get him out of the picture. Now that's 2 people gone, and all you have is Santana and Ortiz with Jericho. I could take Moxley taking out 3 people. So that I just see both of them getting taken out in some capacity, not being able to help Jericho.
And isn't it refreshing that we have a little bit of like, oh, I wonder who can win this match? Yeah, that's what good booking does,
that's
guys.
great
You know.
booking. Yeah, it's not Stone Cold Locks all around.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of surrounding questions. One of mine is Shattered Dreams what it actually takes to get a disqualification in AEW?
I don't even want to talk about rules and refs. I literally saw a tag match where somebody I can't remember who it was. They went over was it Marco Stunt?
Was it this past Wednesday?
It was a regular tag team match and somebody assisted.
It was like Proud and Powerful versus Lucha. Oh no, Lucha. God, Jesus God, Luchasaurus was in it. That's why I'm like Jurassic Express. Was it that one?
I believe so. I believe like Marco
You
Stunt.
text us.
Marcos-
And you're
I think
like,
Marcos
you
Stunt-
gotta be effing kidding me with these refs.
Yeah, I think Marco Stunt jumped over the top rope and crashed into Santana Ortiz, and the ref was just like staring at them, and I'm like, how is that not a disqualification?
referee discretion.
They're so ineffectual.
It just makes no sense. It's like whatever. We'll move on from that to SoCal versus the Dark Order. This seems like it's a build up for something major. I don't know if this will probably be the first card on the match, but if it is, and they start off with a bang, do you think we see Matt Hardy? You think we see someone else
We don't see Matt Hardy because he's still under WWE contract.
Until
for one day?
You could see a Matt Hardy flash on the Titantron.
But yeah,
A
I was like,
name.
well, yeah, how would that work? Or could you just do the yes? Like, could you do that?
Yeah,
like,
something. I mean, they don't own the.
we need
the
a
league,
lawyer.
do we?
We need a lawyer
I mean,
to tell us
so
now.
the thing
WWE
is,
doesn't
like,
own the delete.
I mean,
thing, do they?
well, Matt Hardy's
Exactly.
done a lot of interesting stuff surrounding that, and that he's not really a lock for AEW.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
mean, it's where I want him to wind up, and it's where, I think the best odds of him winding up are. But maybe he does go to NXT.
He
Maybe he
probably
takes that
resigned
money.
and he's trolling us all. Like that's Matt Hardy.
I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, I think the most predictable, besides Matt Hardy, outcome would probably be Christopher Daniels being the exalted one.
Okay, so that
Yeah,
I'm glad
I'll-
to touch upon that because this is what I thought. This storyline has been great, but the one thing that we've lacked seeing is Frankie Kazarian and Scorpio Sky like looking to. Are they right? Like we haven't seen that interaction.
There has been some. Unfortunately, again, it's on Being the Elite. They refused to talk to him. Well, it was a dream sequence, which is always weird because it's Being the Elite.
Right.
We know, like, you're sitting there. So Daniel's dream was that he was like, hey, why are you guys, like, he was all excited. He was like, hey, you guys did so good. Can't wait to take on the Dark Order. He's like, I'm going to be in your corner. Like, this is it. This is our winning ways. They're coming back. And Scorpio and Frankie would refuse to talk to him. And then when he looked at Frankie, turned back around, what's the name? Scorpio had the Dark Order mask. And then when he looked at Scorpio and looked at Frankie, he had the Dark Order mask. And then he woke up with a Dark Order shirt. And he's like, what the hell is going on?
I'm glad I missed that.
Yeah, I yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, it's not... we've been building up, like they've been building up storylines on Dynamite, which has been amazing. But again, we still have that Being the Elite component, which is...
I think if they somehow give if they have Kazarian and Sky question Daniels and that causes the Dark Order to win, then I think you have something like the wonderful play over the loudspeaker. Doesn't have to be him. Could just sound like him. And then Daniel's like, I told you it wasn't me. And that would be pretty cool to set up.
I'm calling a Dark Order win on this, and I'm gonna take it a step further in that I think that they've been setting up the storyline so they don't necessarily have to rely on any one individual signing. If Matt Hardy signs with AEW, then there we go. It's him. If he doesn't, if they don't have anything inked or set up by tonight, then yeah, they can pivot to Daniels. If they're calling it and they don't feel like it should be Daniels, I mean, they've got plenty of choices, plenty of opportunities, and again, it's really
have been Lance Archer since he got signed,
Yeah,
but
they wouldn't have announced that, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
right. They wouldn't have announced the announcing of his signature on the contract for that, and then the other was the original plan, which I think it's pretty much confirmed, was Marty. Marty Scurll was supposed to be the Exalted One.
I didn't know
and
that.
yeah, I think
And Raven. Raven
was in the background. He was, and that was it last week?
They
He was just
made
in there.
sure they made sure to point him out and say, "Hey, look, it's Raven."
Raven's done it before. I mean, like it's
He had the
believable.
flock,
Yeah.
And also Luke Harper, but see, the only reason I don't think it's going to be him is because he's been posted as starting his debut in his hometown, and I don't think they're going to make them boo the hometown hero.
Yeah, I think that Brody Lee kind of deserves to stand on his own 2 feet.
Stand
as
on his
well.
own. Plus, I've always seen him. This is not a knock on him, as like part of the team, a follower, not so much a leader. That's just the way I've kind of seen him, with the Wyatt family and with his work in Ring of Honor.
Yeah. I mean, that's not a bad thing. Also, I'm really oddly excited about seeing Evil Uno and Stu Grayson in the match. I know we've recently had Reynolds and the other guy, but I really like Evil Uno. I like his work ethic.
I've always been a fan of the Dark Order. The only problem with them, which I think turned everyone off from Jump, is the fact that they had the Gimps come out and like Ray like trolls. It's like, whoa,
with no explanation. Like
what kind of kinky shit y'all into?
Yeah, all the debuts, all the mystery day, like who are these people? Who are this? Have been botched except for Cobb.
Yeah.
Recently, so it's good that their reintroduction and slowly building up the Dark Order has been really paying off.
So I think at the Dark Order, everybody agrees.
Lock, yeah, I think they're gonna win.
Stone Cold Lock. So we're gonna go on to the women's title match. We have Nyla Rose facing Chris Statlander, everybody's favorite alien. My favorite alien.
Yeah, dude, she's awesome. This is the only match that recently we were talking about like. If stuff gets booked a certain way, we're pretty much cool. Even if it changes, this is the one where I think Nyla Rose needs to win, just because she's so
She needs
fresh.
to win, and
She
why are
has
they
to.
doing it so soon?
Yeah.
This should have been Riho's rematch. Riho has the visa issues. She can't make it to America all the time with the.
Maybe the coronavirus too. might be
Well, that's true
preventing
too. That
people
could be a
from
point.
Japan,
flying
yeah.
out
So like,
left and right.
why would they sacrifice? Because I
I thought
agree.
it was
I
going
don't
to be
think-
Big Swole because she
Yeah.
came out and she had like her own little thing, and then they had that fatal 4-way which Sheeta won. Love me some Sheeta.
Sheeta's awesome.
But for the love of God, please cut your entrance halfway down. She's like Justin Roberts can't even wait for her to come out before he says her whole intro, and then her little flute thing is still going on, and I'm like, oh my God. But I thought it was gonna be Big Swole because I thought she would win that match and then face Nyla Rose like, hey, I can beat all these chicks. I'm coming for you, and then Nyla Rose would eat her up, and Statlander would get her down the line.
I think
Nyla's
we
got
get some
this.
shenanigans with Nyla Rose, kind of build up the fact that she is a heel. Like
She'll not. She won't win this clean.
I wonder if this is going to be our first DQ. If Nyla Rose and Statlander.
maybe like put Statlander through a table or something like that.
Something like that. But yeah, so are we I want everyone's thoughts, but do we think Nyla win?
Yeah,
I do.
Absolutely,
I do.
How about this? She keeps the title, whether she wins or loses.
Yeah,
I mean-
the title stays with her.
No, but yeah,
Which is important.
I guess we'll make the distinction here. I don't know if Nyla wins, but I do know that Nyla retains.
Okay, that's understandable. So we'll switch over to I think everyone's favorite match on the card, and that is going to be the Bastard Pack
Yeah, right.
versus Orange Cassidy, putting in 1% of effort.
I'm going to say this right now. I think this is going to be my favorite match of the night. I'm not joking. I think if you've watched Orange Cassidy and you're just exposed to AEW, I think you're going to be in for a treat. I think if you haven't seen his moveset within just YouTube him. He's amazing. He's so good. And I think this is going to be fun. And I think Pac's going to win, but I think we're going to see something so amazing from Cassidy.
I agree, and I think what we're going to probably end up seeing is we're going to see Cassidy start out doing his fake kicks.
Yeah.
And then Pac's going to go to obliterate him, and he's going to move out of the way. And then that's when you're just going to see, and I guarantee you, the pop for Orange Cassidy's quote-unquote first offensive maneuver will be huge.
Yeah, I think that this is a match that Pac is going to win. This is a match that Pac needs to win. I don't think Orange Cassidy is a guy that needs to win matches. I think this is going to be incredibly entertaining. I'm a big mark for Orange Cassidy, and I'm going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think Pac's winning this, no doubt. And like everyone said, Orange Cassidy's gonna pull something out that's gonna be amazing. He's I don't want to say he's like the Shane McMahon of AEW, but I mean Shane McMahon. No, but hear me out. Shane McMahon, whenever he got between the ropes, did something interesting. Maybe not like in his super latter years, but when he first came out and he was hot. He was doing anything and everything to get our attention. And
that King of the Ring match with him and Angle.
King of the Ring, Steve Blackman match was at SummerSlam.
Yeah, Test. Yeah,
you know, Kane and that. A bunch of matches with him and just
the battery nipple.
Forgot about that. I was trying not to mention that. I'm glad you did it.
Wait. No, it was the testicles.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was electric.
All of it.
See, I blocked that out of my mind. I just remember the nipples.
See, no, you have to remember that Shane had his kids before that, not after. I could be very wrong about this timeline. I do not care.
Really young,
I wouldn't. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think we're gonna see something special. That's it. That's all my last thing.
That's
my lock for match of the night.
I think now we'll get to the. I don't want to say it's the main event because obviously the world title will be the main event.
It's
but
the one with the most build.
But
this is
the most important match on the card
for storyline purposes.
It's going to be MJF with Wardlow versus Cody with Arn Anderson, and I think that's very important, and I'll get to that.
Wardlow's going to take Arn out.
Christ.
Won't take much. The guy only has one arm.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, no.
So, gentlemen, who are you picking in this match? Let's start with Remy since AEW is your show. Let me hear your thoughts.
I'm going to... So, I don't know what the factor of Arn Anderson in this match is going to be, except that he's not there for no reason. It's... I am very, very sold on MJF winning this match. I do not think that Cody wins this match. I do not think that Cody should win this match. I think that MJF is going to be even more insufferable and an even more dickish heel by coming away from this match with the win. And it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be really, really, really interesting.
And I'm gonna 100% agree with Remy. MGF wins this match. I think it's by hook and by crook. I think again another holding the tights, cheating to win. I've said it about almost every single angle thus far with AEW. They don't need to have Arn Anderson turn on Cody. They don't need it. Will it happen? Who knows? If it does happen, tonight seems like the night. I don't want it to happen. I want to go on record saying that I think Arn Anderson, as a coach for Cody Rhodes, should continue until, take a guess, Cody Rhodes challenges for the world title. I think you draw this out with Arn Anderson helping a Rhodes, and you say, look, I'm here to coach you to the top of AEW. And then you have Cody get that world title match with Jericho, and then Arn goes, I got nothing else for you. You're on your own, kid. You got this far with me. I can't take you any farther. You got to do this on your own. And I think that is the payoff for this Arn Anderson coach thing. But with that said, if he is going to turn on Cody, it has to happen tonight.
Yeah, I think to just bounce off you, and then I'll let Nick or Carlos take this over. The thing that I've really enjoyed about AEW, about these, the match setups over and over again, is that you're constantly looking at who's on the card and thinking, well, what if? They do so much to just build speculation surrounding, an event, and then anything could happen.
Right.
No, go ahead, Nick.
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I was a lock for Cody to win. I'm switching to MJF. You guys have sold me on that. I think MJF does need the win. I think if he loses, he's still credible as a heel, but to have that win against the top babyface would skyrocket him. He looks like him and Paige seem to me to be the two that have the rockets set on their back, and they're about to explode and go off into the stratosphere.
And Darby Allin.
And Darby Allin, yes. Mm-hmm. I think those are the three.
I think them two are above Darby Allin.
Yes, fair. And I think once we have a mid-card title, I think a lot of this
Yeah.
will help out as well. But I think those three are the future of AEW. I think we fast forward 5 years from now, there's a world title picture. There's a world title picture with MJF versus Paige, and it's probably like world title match 3, and it's a rubber match, and it's amazing.
And I think, if you're gonna be AEW and be really smart about this show tonight, you kind of book it as the antithesis to all the crap that happened, in it's Super Showdown, and you do this right. You put over the up and coming talent in MJF. Yeah. Cody doesn't need this win.
No, I agree. I think we all agree MJF is going to win this match. I view it differently. I hate to break your heart, Mark. I really, really do. But I think Arn Anderson betrays Cody Rhodes.
Oh, I'm okay with that if it happens tonight.
Yes, it'll happen tonight just because of the simple fact I think MJF is building a little stable of his own. And how funny would it be in his mind to take somebody that Cody looked up to and had in his inner circle, and that's just another piece of his close friends, his close inner circle being chipped away, being ripped away from him. And then you got all this other turmoil going on within the Elite. They have so much going on. Now, if the Bucks are bad, Cody can't hang with them. He can't be boys with them on screen. Then he has to worry about protecting Paige if Paige is on his side, but Paige doesn't trust anybody. So now we're getting a full potential Cody Rhodes where he is babyface ace, because the number one thing about a babyface is what? You're on your own. That is the number one thing. Most of the time, people don't help you. They don't lift you up and, throw you around the ring like, oh, my God, he's their savior. He did this for us. No, you do it on your own, and you do the work. That's been his slogan for the longest time, do the work. So he's going to do the work all by himself, besides maybe Brandy Rhodes because that's his wife. But
right. I'm glad you said that, Nick, because one other thing we haven't really touched upon here was that all the trials and tribulations that Cody had to go through to get this match.
Yes.
He did the things the face way.
Yeah.
He took the lashings, which was brutal to watch. He survived the steel cage match. What was the other one? He had to kiss the ring or something?
No,
right?
he wasn't allowed to touch.
Wasn't allowed to touch.
So that was kind of a weak one.
Right. But here's the thing. He doesn't need the win. He doesn't need the win because he's already proved he's already won by getting the match.
And there's nowhere for him to go. If he wins,
he can't win the world title yet.
Yeah, so if he wins, the world title will be next, and he can't do that. So right. I agree he loses this, and then all we get Wednesday night starting off is MJF in the middle of the ring, gloating. Gloat, talks about people's kids and families and leukemia and whatever else, and just is an insufferable dick.
And I mean, we've made the distinction, I think, on more than one occasion that Cody can't challenge for the title, but it doesn't mean somebody can't challenge Cody.
Definitely. So I have nothing else to add for this card. I am just excited after the kakapui we saw on Thursday afternoon.
I will. The only thing I will say is if Cody has booked himself to lose tonight, I don't think it's an answer to Super Showdown. I think this was the plan all along.
Oh, yeah.
And it just shows like he's smart. Like Cody's gonna be world champion. It's gonna happen. The Bucks are gonna be tag team champions. Someone's gonna be a mid card champion from the Elite. Like these things are inevitable. It's just how we get there has been really fun. And it's shown that they actually have an eye for the business. They don't want a repeat of WCW.
Well, the number one thing we've all talked about is the fact that they listen to the fans. I don't think anything that WWE does from here on out or from Jump, other than the whole Triple H, him smashing the throne, other than that, they don't care about WWE at all. They're doing their own thing. I think it's the other way around. I think WWE cares about what they're doing. And they're trying to do the direct opposite to show we're nothing alike. And it's hurting them.
I mean, I do agree that WWE cares, and I agree with you, Carlos, that this was AEW's plan all along, and they're not doing it reflexively. I guess I just feel that as a fan, I'm less disrespected by this product.
Yep.
Like, especially as far as my intelligence is concerned.
They don't treat us like idiots.
No, absolutely not. They don't treat us as idiots at all. And they show us the respect. And then when we've had issues, right, in the past with their storyline, their building and stuff like that, we've seen that it's been kind of like the elite kind of running the show. And then that's not a negatory way to say that. Like, they actually have been in the writer's room doing stuff like that. Now with Tony taking a more prominent presence and putting more of an input in there, it's shown, and we get more storylines on TV like Mark won it. We are getting better consistent matches, not super spot fest like Mark won it. And Tony Khan's catering
very
to Mark.
happy.
Yeah. Mark's very happy. Like, they're catering to Mark. No, they're
They still
catering
have
to...
spots, but they're doing them less frequently.
Yes,
which is very helpful. You know, it looks stupid when two people stand there and just for 30 seconds. You're like, oh Christ.
Yeah, you have those natures, and then even when we were talking about like the Kenny Omega we've seen is not the Kenny Omega of New Japan. That's purposeful.
I will also say the whole thing about Kenny Omega, I think he caters to the Japanese fan and the anime fan, and that, I mean, I love anime. I mean, you love anime,
yeah,
but not everybody at this table loves anime.
What's anime? No,
Exactly.
It's just Mark.
I think Mark likes anime.
No, not really.
Macross?
See, I think like
No.
I'm looking
Gundam?
in those.
G.I. Joe,
Transformers?
Transformers,
Okay.
sure. Thundercat, not this Thundercat Roars bullshit, but the original Thundercats, I'm down with.
Yeah,
and they're
see?
making He-Man again, I'm down with
they-
animation.
They already made She-Ra.
Anime, Chinese or Japanese anime? Nope, sorry.
He's like, subtitles?
Pikachu,
I mean, that's technically...
whatever.
No, I mean, Pokemon's probably the greatest anime if you want to break it down. Like,
Pokemon is not the greatest anime.
not for me or for like, you know, people who enjoy it, but I'm saying the casual anime fan, it's technically an anime.
Yeah, it's technically an
And-
well,
and-
it's technically a commercial.
it's a commercial for.
I'm just saying it's super duper popular for the most casual person.
The
They know
look
what a
in Mark's
Pokemon
eyes
is.
right now. I'm so sorry.
I'm gonna edit this out too.
So I got nothing else to add, gentlemen.
Yeah, no, same.
Anybody
I think
want to
we're-
closing
we're
thoughts?
I gave my closing thoughts with the network and that shit that Super Showdown was, and Goldberg and Lesnar and everything else. Thank God we have AEW tonight. Revolution is going to be fun. I'm going to be hanging with my boys, watching a great pay-per-view. Looking forward to tonight. Closing thoughts done.
Yeah, no, same. Everyone enjoy Revolution tonight. I think we're in for a treat, and we'll recap that next week.
I did see Cody Rhodes say that Revolution may be considered their biggest pay-per-view. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's their WrestleMania. I doubt it.
I will say we didn't touch on the fact that he did say yesterday at C2E2, the Comic Expo in Chicago, that they are. I know. I looked at Mark's face too.
Thank you. No, I was the one who sent you guys that picture. that text.
So there is a new old school match type coming tonight. We're going to get revealed, and it could be the match beyond, like you mentioned.
Could be the match beyond, which for you, 20-year-old and 30-year-old wrestling fans, is what the nickname of War Games was. So War Games, the original War Games back in the NWA, was 2 rings side by side, 5-on-5. The first 5 minutes was 1-on-1. They did a live coin toss, wink, wink, which the heels somehow always won. And then every 2 minutes, an opposing team would come in. So you kind of had NXT play off of that in recent years. But if I know Cody, like I think I know Cody, they're going to bring back the actual 5-on-5 War Game style match, but they can't call it that, so match beyond. And if it's anything other than that, I'm going to be a little bit disappointed.
Yeah. What else could it be? Any old school match type? I couldn't even think of one. Is it going to be that like
But
weird
that-
thing from
that's-
WCW with the giant cage? They'll fight your way up.
No, the Tower of
David,
Doom?
Yeah, the
David
David
Arquette?
Arquette
No,
thing?
please, no.
Is that what you're talking about, the David Arquette thing?
No,
Oh,
That was one of them,
that
yeah.
was one
like
of them,
the-
yeah.
Oh,
No, I
Jesus
thought it was
Christ.
like Hogan and Savage versus what? Ric Flair and Kevin.
Well, you know what? I have exclusive knowledge. They're bringing back Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal.
I am so excited for that. To roll back to Thunderdome, I don't think they had any idea what Gulag was.
No.
All right. So I think that's it, guys. I think we're all set. Mark, take it away.
Take it away, guys. Tonight is Revolution. We covered everything Super Showdown and what atrocity that was. We are going to end this week of wrestling with what I deem to be a very big show for AEW. They've recently signed a new contract, extended on TNT. The wrestling fan will like AEW Revolution. For Carlos, Nick, Remy, I am Mark, and we will see you next week on The Entrance Ramp. Goodbye, everybody.
Adios.
Thank you for listening to the Entrance Ramp Podcast. Please like us on Facebook at the Entrance Ramp Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at the Entrance Ramp Pod, and subscribe to us on YouTube by searching for the Entrance Ramp Podcast. We'll see you next time.